when we first spoke, actually, that really changed your perspective was the link you have between your clinical practice and the scientific side. And there's plenty of people that are purely science-based. There's obviously the clinical side of pharmacy and pharmaceutics, but how essentially has that changed your thought process?
Yeah, I suppose it's changed it in quite a lot of ways, man. Very, in parallel with my academic career, I did locums on Wednesday nights for 10 years, and I interacted with many patients in that time, and I really enjoyed it. And I always made a point of trying to talk to the patients and explain their medicines to them or answer any questions that they had. But there were certainly a lot of interesting interactions where people maybe hadn't been using their medicines properly. So, maybe they'd been eating suppositories, or they hadn't been taking the cap off their inhaler before they would press the button, or they'd been spraying their cat with the inhaler because the cat was causing the shortness of breath. So things like that made me really think that if we're going to make a delivery system that is going to be sophisticated, we have to make sure that it's going to be easily explainable to somebody, and that it's going to be easy to use and not complicated. Um, because if you have a delivery system, it may well work, but if people can't understand it, or they find it uncomfortable or confusing to use, then they're not going to use it. And that means they're not going to get the benefit of it. So we've done quite a bit of patient and public involvement activities in the group here. So we have brought in parents of premature babies. We've talked to them about how microneedles might be able to replace injections in the future for premature babies, because obviously they're very ill. They get a lot of injections, um, depending on what conditions they have. We've also talked to elderly people, because people, as they get a bit older, are more likely to need more than one medicine, and will be on medicines for the rest of their lives, probably. And we've talked to HIV patients, because we've had quite a few projects on using microneedles for long-acting treatment and prevention of HIV. And almost everybody who we talk to says they don't like the idea of microneedles. And I understand that, because people associate needles with pain and with being scared. And I think this is why a lot of people in the field are referring to microneedles now as microarray patches, which was a name that was suggested a long time ago. But in a lot of papers now, and a lot of conferences, you'll see them referred to as microarray patches. And I think that that's probably a positive thing, because they're not true needles. They're tiny projections less than a millimeter high on a solid support, and they don't cause pain, and they don't cause bleeding whenever they're actually inserted into somebody's skin. So we need to really move away from that. So I think that's been an interesting thing. We also went out and did focus groups with children in schools, both primary and secondary. And again, they didn't want the word needles mentioned. So I suppose, as a pharmacist and someone who spent time interacting with patients, it's been really nice for me to work with patients and to get their insights. What we've also done quite a bit of is talk to healthcare professionals, pharmacists, um, and various different consultants in different medical specialties. And again, they have provided good ideas for what drug substances might be interesting to administer with microneedles. The dermatology um, consultants that we work with, particularly Dr. Donal O'Kane at the Belfast Trust here, have been really helpful in making suggestions to us for different drugs that could be usefully delivered into or across the skin using microneedles. So I think that those sort of interactions that, again, I was used to as a pharmacist, I think are really useful, and they've really helped to improve our research, but also have been an important aspect of the training of the people in the group. Because again, if you're going to work in a pharmaceutical company and you've already had that interaction with patients and other healthcare professionals, and they're giving you perspectives on your delivery system, then that is brilliant experience if you're going into a product development team in a pharmaceutical company. It really helps to inform what you do.